Borger, along with BuzzFeed Washington Bureau Chief John Stanton. Jeff, you think this may be, with the exception of the Affordable Act, one of the most important lasting legacies of President Obama. What happened today? Explain.
The District of Columbia, the D.C. Circuit, is the second most important court in the country. President Obama has nominated 5 people to that court. 4 of them have been filibustered. As a result of today's decision, 3 of those 4 will be confirmed. That is the farm team for the Supreme Court. That's where Democratic presidents get their nominees to the Supreme Court often. This is the court that weighs whether most federal laws are constitutional. Obama will be able to put his stamp on this court as a result of today's decision, and those judges on this court and around the country will serve for decades after President Obama leaves office. So this is an enormously important vote, especially at a time when Congress isn't passing any laws anyway. So judicial confirmations is about all they do.
Yeah, and it's not just judicial confirmations that he's going to only need 51 votes for confirmation, but all executive branch nominations, with the exception of Supreme Court justices. Gloria, this is a huge political moment right now, because there's already been a poisonous atmosphere up on Capitol Hill, and so many people now believe it's only going to get worse.
Right. I think the partisanship, I mean, we didn't believe this could occur, but the partisanship is going to increase exponentially, because Republicans will now say, okay, we might filibuster everything else. It's clear that the Democrats decided, and I think the base of the party was quite involved in this, Wolf. I think the base of the party said, we need to get these nominees through. This is part of the presidential legacy. So they understand they're going to get a payoff up front. But what comes down the road is another question. I also think that today increased the stakes of the 2014 midterm elections, because now you're going to have both bases really activated on this particular issue of judicial nominees, and it's going to get out the Democratic base, it's going to get out the Republican base, and so I think that the control of the Senate now becomes more important, if that's possible.
Yeah, the Republicans, John, they were already pretty energized because of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, but this will further energize that Republican base looking forward to that midterm election next year. I assume you agree.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, if you look historically, judicial nominations have always been a major issue for the Republican base. During the Clinton administration and during the Bush administration, this notion of judicial activism was very much a thing that Republicans were able to use to turn out their people. And it's interesting to see Democrats over the last years starting to pick up that same issue on their side, and their base now becoming similarly interested in the judiciary, where for a long time, they except for on abortion, you didn't see a lot of interest in that. And now I think both sides are going to be fighting much harder on this.
Here's a number to keep in mind, and it's a number Republicans keep using, but 33 Democratic senators have never served in the minority. So the feeling is they're not going to know what it's like when the table is turned on them and when they've got to abide by this rule.
I want to play these clips because, as we've been pointing out, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on in Washington these days. Not to be a big surprise. Here's Harry Reid speaking in 2008 on this very sensitive issue, and we'll follow that with Mitch McConnell speaking on the nuclear option in 2005. Listen to this.
As long as I am the leader, the answer is no. I think we should just forget that. That is a black chapter in the history of the Senate. I hope we never, ever get to that again, because I really do believe it will ruin our country.
The current Senate majority intends to do what the majority in the Senate has often done, to reform Senate procedure by a simple majority vote. Despite the incredulous protestations of our Democratic colleagues, the Senate has repeatedly adjusted its rules as circumstances dictate.
All right, so you heard, let me bring John back in and get your reaction to that. You heard Harry Reid say this will ruin our country to invoke the nuclear option, which is exactly what he did today, invoke the nuclear option. And you heard Mitch McConnell say, get rid of that 60-vote requirement. 51, a simple majority, is what is necessary, which is what he hates today. So what's your reaction?
There is a certain amount of hypocrisy, I think, to it. Although, when Harry Reid says that He's right. They have changed over the last, 8 years. And this is symptomatic of a broader problem in Washington, which is that there is no appetite anymore for bipartisanship. The number of people that are inclined towards that in both parties has dwindled significantly. For every farm bill vote, or end of vote in the Senate, there are dozens of other bills that have no traction at all because neither side is at all interested in working together. And I think that this is part of this bigger problem that is going on right now in Washington.
Jeffrey, this is going to enable, though, the president over the next 3 years, assuming the Democrats retain the majority in the Senate after 2014, to have a lot of lifetime appointments on critically important courts out there. He's going to get those approved with 51 votes, no longer 60 required. Absolutely.
I mean, this is potentially the biggest legacy that Barack Obama could have in his second term. The House of Representatives is not passing anything that Barack Obama is proposing. So he's not going to pass bills. But he can nominate judges. He can fill administrative agencies. And now he only needs 50 votes to do it. Can they keep control of the Senate? This is a vote of confidence of the Democratic majority that they're going to keep their majority. But they're also saying, you know what, if we lose, we lose. The Senate has to function by majority rule, not a 60% rule. And if we lose, we'll have to live with that.
And the president today, when he came out, essentially said what he was saying during the whole shutdown argument and the defund Obamacare argument. He said that you shouldn't want to refight the results of an election. So what the president said is, look, we had this election, you elected me, we passed Obamacare, and of course, you want me to appoint judges. That's why you elected me. That's what I intend.
All right, Gloria, thank you. Jeffrey, thanks. John Stanton, thanks to you as